So how did curiosity get me this time? Well, I was going through my local Costco and I noticed that there was a peculiar packaging in the non-produce aisle. So I took a look at the sticker and the first thing that I noticed was that this food item is gonna last up to 25 years. Who here in this middle-class suburban store is thinking to themselves, I'm gonna need to make sure that this food item is gonna last at least 25 years because my average of eating any sort of perishable item is, 10 years. Curiosity officially peaked. Let's see what else this sticker says. Just add water. Are these MREs? If you don't know what MREs are, it stands for Meals Ready to Eat. They are these high-caloric meal packs that are generally given to soldiers either fighting on the front lines or they could be going on a multi-day mission where they can't necessarily cook their food because cooking requires fire alerts the enemies, no more food, no more you. Depending on the menu, some MREs just require the addition of water. There are other MRE packs where you just open it and you can eat it straight away. Some MREs are so fancy that if you pull a ripcord, a chemical reaction happens in a separate chamber that heats up your food. If you thought microwaving your meal was easy, this is like a whole nother level of absolute laziness. But you don't have to deal with the inevitable fact that your leftovers are gonna explode during reheat. Anyways, back to the story. Normally, my curiosity would have just ended there, except for the very next day, the entire pallet was sold out. I wish I was joking. Seriously, who's buying it all? Because maybe I wanted one. So I asked one of the Costco guys, hey, are you guys getting any more in? And they said they've been selling out everywhere, but it looks like they're getting a shipment of 100+ units sometime in the next 2 weeks, just not sure when. So I proceeded to stock my Costco for the next 2 weeks so that maybe I can snatch up one of these motherfuckers. Mainly because I'm now more curious than ever, and the fact that this thing is 132 servings of food for $64. You can't even feed your family at McDonald's for $64. By week 2, there it was, a fresh pallet of buckets, of which half of them were already missing. Seriously, who the hell is buying up all of these? So I bought 2. Because I'm a curious boy, emergencies happen, and views. Don't judge me. So I'm curious of 2 things. Does this food taste any good? If I was in an emergency situation, like the extended absence of no electricity, or I am with my theoretical in-laws during a zombie apocalypse, I wanna know if one of these buckets can allow me to survive for 7 days while still maintaining my normal routine. So, let's find out. But within reason. You see, a guy my size just breathing alone is going to cost me 2,200 calories per day. But that's not all. I'm an active person. I like to work out, I still dance professionally and socially, so there are times where I'm going to be burning 2,700 calories or more. Looking at the nutrition label, if I eat exactly 1/7 of the total calories this bucket provides, I will be taking in approximately 4,500 milligrams of sodium per day. I'm no nutritionist, but conventional American diet says that that's probably too much sodium per day. And considering the fact that there's also a lot of carbs in here, that carb and salt combo is gonna make me hold on to water like a politician holds onto their job that they're not qualified for. And I'm sure there are a ton of other chemical shit in here that's going to preserve the food a little bit longer. But in efforts to not preserve myself into a living mummy, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add just a little bit more food in there to make sure that my calories is going to maintain my active lifestyle, but also to up my potassium. Because based on my understanding, you generally want your potassium and sodium intake to be about the same. So I'm gonna eat some bananas, cups of green peas, and when you consider the fact that I'm also sweating from working out, that should basically get my potassium and my salt level to about the same.
You're cheating now because you're changing the challenge.
I don't care, I'm curious, not stupid. For you data nerds out there, here are the final numbers of the nutrition labels, giving you approximately what I will be eating every day. This keeps the amount of calories where I need it to be so that I can maintain my own body weight, as well as keeping my sodium levels in check. Let's get started. I cracked open the bucket and I was unfortunately not greeted with military-styled rations that are portioned out. Rather, these are packages of the entrees in their full entirety. What really threw a damper in my plans was when I discovered the little instruction page, and on it specifically tells you that you have to cook each entree with boiling water. That caught me by surprise because the bucket said just add water, so apparently that's not true. You gotta cook it as well. And also the way it's packaged, you can't really portion out how much you want to cook per entree because the seasoning and the main ingredients are already mixed all together. Upon discovering all this, I am starting to question Readywise's marketing as well as the validity of this being an emergency food source, but I have no time to waste. It's gonna take me approximately 30 plus minutes just to cook each entree. So this is far from instant ramen, which usually takes minutes. So because these aren't true military rations, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cook a very specific set of entrees for day 1 through 3, and then I will cook the rest of the entrees for day 3 through 6. Now the reason I broke these up into 2 different meal sets is because I want to make sure I have a variety of different stuff to eat throughout the day. Because if I only cooked 1 package per day, and I only ate barbecue beans one of those days, there's gonna be a whole different emergency than what's going on outside. So I started slaving away in the kitchen, and the cooking took so long that I actually didn't finish cooking everything I wanted because I still needed to go out to go to the gym as well as my salsa rehearsals in the evening. Because even during the apocalypse, I'm not skipping leg day or dancing. By 11 p.m., I was finally home, I cooked the last couple entrees, and I sat down to eat my massive dinner. So, how did it taste? Honestly, it's fine in terms of that it's just essentially boxed processed food. The only entree out of the first menu set that I thought actually tasted good was the chicken noodle soup. Otherwise, everything else was pretty much meh. Also, I'm not sure why this bucket doesn't give you additional seasonings like black pepper or chili flakes. Even military rations will give you some sort of seasoning packet. Even Oregon Trail settlers brought spices along with them. So, this bucket could have done that. With a full stomach and a long day behind me, I finally went to sleep. Surprisingly, I slept very well. According to my Apple Watch, I really didn't move, slept like a rock. My digestion, though, was gassy as hell. Despite eating a massive 2,800 calorie meal last night, my stomach felt very empty when I woke up. However, one trip to the bathroom essentially time traveled me back to my high school jeans. Now, generally, it's not recommended for you to eat such a massive meal right before you go to bed, so I'm gonna break my inner fasting and first eat the cereal in the morning, which is essentially just oatmeal. I don't know why they call it cereal, and then eat the rest of my calories throughout the day. However, when I got home that night, I noticed that I completely forgot I still have some romaine lettuce in the refrigerator, and I'm not one to waste food. So instead of eating the green peas, I ended up eating the romaine lettuce that night. Well, I did not sleep well this night because I kept waking up in the middle of the night to push out water as if I was preparing for some sort of UFC weigh-in. And I had no time to lose because Wednesdays are my busiest day. I have work, I have gym, I have to teach dance. So I again ate some of my calories in the morning and then I ate the rest at night. Now, one thing you need to know about me is that I can eat the same meal over and over again and never get tired. However, by day 3 of this meal, I was ready for something different, because all of this food just tasted sweet. Like there's a lot of sugar in all of this food. I want something more savory, so hopefully the next food items will be better. Today was a non-stop day because I needed to make sure I cooked all the entrees before I went to work, teaching dance, as well as going to my weekly salsa nights, which ends at midnight. By this 4th day, I was already starting to notice a few things, mainly that I was feeling heavy and sluggish. Even though my weight hasn't changed at all, my breathing was heavier during activities. My body was pretty much just not happy. But I was excited to try some of these new items. I'll say that the creamy pasta and the pasta Alfredo, they're basically the same thing. I don't know why they had to give it different names, but the real winners here were the tomato soup as well as the Santa Fe rice and beans. The tomato soup reminded me of my childhood days of grilled cheese sandwiches, and the rice was just really well seasoned, much more savory and salty versus just pure sugar and sweet. On this day, I had a video production job that was gonna take approximately 7 hours of my day, and I would be carrying around my heavy camera rig the entire time. Now, the entire production went fine. I got through everything, but I did notice my body just felt extra puffy, like it was holding on to water for dear life. Not only that, my ankles felt a little weak, like my joints were a bit stiff. And even though I was being active this entire time, like going to the gym and moving around, my body just didn't feel great. And even then, I still went and salsa danced all the way till midnight. On the 6th day, I had a morning workout with the salsa team I was on, and other than that, I just kind of went home, did some work, and ate up the rest of the entrees. And when I was finished, I pretty much just thought about it and was like, do I really want to eat this food again on the 7th day? Specifically, all I had left was this one extra package of creamy pasta that Readywise accidentally gave me an extra package of. I had a bunch of the cereal left, the orange drink, the milk drink, as well as pudding. Pretty much this meal set was just more sugar, and my body was already starting to like really reject me from eating all this food. It really made me sick to think about it, because after surviving on 6 days of this emergency food, I pretty much had an idea of what my final thoughts were. Readywise calling this an emergency food kit is being a little generous. They are assuming your suburban ass understands that this bucket requires pre-prep work in terms of water and a cooking fuel source, of which none of this is immediately obvious when you look at the sticker on the bucket. You're not gonna know until you open it up and look at the instructions inside. And by then, you're already in an emergency situation and therefore possibly screwed. But let's say you did your due diligence and you did in fact prep. You're gonna need to prep approximately 8¼ gallons of water just to cook this bucket alone. And that's not including the water you need to drink while you are surviving. And the fact that you have to boil up 8¼ gallons of water, you can imagine how much fuel source you're gonna need just to do that. So if you have nothing prepped, then you better hope that you live next to a moving body of water, are best friends with a dragon, because you're gonna be on a never-ending scavenger hunt for hydration and fire fuel. And do you know what goes wonderful with never-ending physical exertion? Is a constant diet of sugar, sugar, and more sugar. Which brings me to my second point. Just because these are calories does not mean they are good, survivable calories. Why do I say that? Because this bucket is essentially an all-carb diet, specifically simple carbs. And that means your body will break it down into sugar, specifically glucose, and then your body will just have a nice short burst of energy, but then you're gonna crash pretty fast. Which basically means in a survival situation, you're gonna spend more time feeling weak, exhausted, and hungry, which is gonna go awesome when you're constantly doing backbreaking work with carrying buckets of water back to your camp, as well as chopping wood. Now don't get me wrong, technically you will survive off this bucket for a little bit, but you're not really gonna be thriving. This bucket would be fine if you are fully prepped and you are just hunkering down in your bunker, binge watching the world burning outside. But if you have to move around, hunt, and fight off mutant raccoons, you're gonna need some more substantial calories for your body, specifically meat. Which surprisingly, Readywise does have a bucket that gives you freeze-dried meat. If I had the choice, I would 100% take this bucket over the one that Costco is selling. This bucket is gonna cost you $300, which does seem like a lot, but I would much rather survive off of this food than wasting away on all carbs. Now, if you want to go full apocalypse kingpin, Readywise does have a bundle which gives you meat, veggies, and fruit. But keep in mind, you're gonna have to boil up 18¾ gallons of water just to cook the entire bucket. And it's also gonna cost you $650, but you're gonna live like a king. Now, I do applaud Costco for offering this bucket at such a steep discount of $64, because if you take a look at Readywise's website, the closest bucket that comes to the Costco version comes in at $150. So yeah, Costco made some sort of huge deal here. I just wish they chose the correct bucket in terms of a true survival situation. Now, on Costco's website, you can order the protein bucket at a substantial discount, but the cost savings are done by not giving you as much meat and giving you more beans. Honestly, Costco should just create their own true military rations. I mean, who's not gonna enjoy some rotisserie chicken 25 years later? Assuming this channel survives, I will see you guys in 25 years with this bucket of food for another taste test, which I will note is kind of hilarious because on Readywise's website, they are saying if the food does not taste as good as you remembered from 25 years ago, contact them and they will work to make it right. This is hilarious to me because they are assuming that you have already eaten a full bucket 25 years ago and you have something to compare it to, and they are also assuming that they're still going to be in business in 25 years.